All right, guys, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. If you're someone who is seeking uncommon results, this podcast is for you. Success, happiness, and wisdom. What do these words mean to you? I think we can all agree that we'll probably all have slightly different definitions of each. In these podcasts, I get to dive deeply into conversations with some amazing innovators, influencers, and trendsetters that have had different versions of how they define the terms, yet have come out on the other side with amazing, uncommon results. At some point in their lives, they have decided to unshackle themselves from the norm and go beyond all boundaries. Well, thank you everybody for joining another episode of Beyond All Boundaries. And I'm really excited to have Clint and Sarah Hosman with us today. And they own Long Ship Systems. And I tell you what, I've gotten to know these guys just a little bit. I met them, what was it, maybe 3-4 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that.
In Tampa, right? And man, I just really enjoyed the time, and I got to spend some time with Sarah the other day on a conference call, and just some awesome people, and they have a lot of passion and energy around, you know, their business and the things that they're doing, and just, you know, overall life, right? Like entrepreneurship and just lessons that we've learned. And I'm just really excited for them to, you know, be on the show today and taking the time to do that. So guys, thanks for being here and welcome.
You bet. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
So would you like to start out and just kind of give a little bit of background about your company and the things that you guys are doing and looking at where you guys are headed to as a business?
Yeah, you bet. So we've had Long Ship Systems running for about 3.5 years now. And at the time when we started it, Sarah was an insurance agent for MetLife. And so I have been working in marketing and systems for about a decade, and working with different software companies, and then moving into consulting before we started Long Ship Systems. And the tagline, we're giggling about the tagline here ahead of time, but what we do is we help our clients define, design, and execute their ideal client journey. And so the way we do that is through getting really clear by asking really simple questions about what they want to do, how they want to scale their business, and create a roadmap and a blueprint that we actually build. It's one of our guiding philosophies that there's two sides of an equation when it comes to business systems and strategy. You have one side of this big gap of people that will give you advice. They're going to tell you all the different strategies, and you should use this software, and you should say this, and this is how often you need to do it. And then you'll say, okay, hey, I love what you're saying. How much can I pay you to do this for me? And they'll go, yeah, I don't do that. Like, okay, crap. Then on the other side of the divide, you have a bunch of people that know the tech, and they'll do it for you, but they end up being more order takers than consultants. And so you have to kind of juggle this world of, here's the strategy I think I want, and I need to communicate the strategy in my business to this person who's an order taker, and you don't really need their advice. Long Ship Systems lives in the middle of that gap. We've worked with enough big names and enough people behind the scenes to know the different strategies, but we also believe in the value of work and actually building. We like to build with our hands and build systems for our clients to use.
So when people reach out to you guys spend time going, like, probably doing a deep dive in exactly what they're trying to accomplish and really what the end game is that, and then you help with automation and all these really just intricacies of software and all this type of stuff to help promote that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it is. And we're not, so if we're not platform agnostic, we are platform agnostic in that if somebody uses ClickFunnels, ActiveCampaign, Infusionsoft, these are all great tools, but at the end of the day, the average entrepreneur, they're not a software person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an insurance person. My job is making sure my clients are covered and that my staff are doing the things they need to do. I'm making payroll. I'm trying to do my own marketing. And now I have to throw on top of it learning a software. It's just not going to happen. And so that's where we come in, and we work with the owner or the team, both, to extract the vision of what it is they want to have happen. And then if they don't already have a software, we'll prescribe a software that we can build this vision into and execute. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that sounds like, and I totally agree with you, right? Because I'm good at what I'm good at, but when it comes to the software and trying to do all these automation systems and these processes, it's something that I should not really get involved with at all, because I don't have a clue what I'm doing. And I'm probably just spending all my time and energy wasting that time and energy, where there's professionals like you guys that can really dig in and execute what the business owner is really trying to do. I wanted to bring back to, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
Well, and I was just going to say, and as a business owner, I'm sure you can relate to this, where it's what I want to do as a business owner is going to be determined off of the last email that I got. Mm-hmm. If it's the squeaky wheel, then that's the thing that has my attention, and it's got my attention for the next however long until the next thing comes up. And what our job is at Longship Systems is to kind of pull out from trying to oil every squeaky wheel in your system, and just saying, look, we're going to start planning for the 90% of things that go right, that we can scale. And that it takes a second perspective to step out and just really not be involved in the business directly to execute within it.
And I think that's a huge point, because so oftentimes we get so inundated or ingrained in the way that we think, right? And the way that we communicate to people, like we feel like this is the way that we should be doing that thing. But if you have somebody that can sit outside of that arena and just say, listen, the way you're communicating, the way that the things that you're doing, right? There's a different and more effective approach to where you're just spinning your wheels and not getting the results you want, because you don't have that third party or that second opinion to where they can come in and evaluate that. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, certainly.
Right.
I think sometimes too, as entrepreneurs, we get, you almost do create a bit of an echo chamber in your own business, where it's like, well, no, or in your industry, like these are the words we always use. And it's almost like you're putting all of your content and making it seem like you're talking to your peers instead of talking to your clients.
That's a huge point, Sarah, because I think, we all get like with our acronyms and the way that we communicate, right? Because it's like, it's what we do every single day, right? And it's just so automated to us, like how can someone not understand that? But to be able to communicate and basically like take it at like a third or fourth grade level, right? To be able to explain that information to the outside world is really difficult. I mean, it's like, I've experienced that too in my own business, is that, it's like, this is what I do every day. And I got to remember that the way I communicate, really, I have to really dial it down. Even though I think the things that I'm saying is really simple, you almost have to strip that further down to where, right, it's almost at that third or fourth grade level, to be honest, or, 10-year-old level, I guess. But it's something that's not easily done. I wanted to bring back to Clint what you were saying at the very beginning. You have been in this area for like 10 years, and Sarah, you were in the financial space, right? So what caused you, or the decisions to leave what you were currently doing to merge together and work together on that business?
You're muted.
You're muted, Sarah.
Pure insanity. That's what caused us to do this.
Yeah.
This is actually one of my favorite stories to tell. It's, well, I've got a lot of favorite stories, come to think of it. It's top 20. So I had started Longship, as Sarah had started her insurance agency 7-8 years before that.
Yeah.
And so she was an oddity when we first met. You were 19 when we first met, right?
I was. And
she said, you're going through the whole dating thing. And she goes, well, someday I want to be an insurance agent. And I'm all, that is the weirdest thing a 19-year-old girl has ever said to me. Okay. I didn't say that out loud. That was my internal monologue. And so when we finally got to that point where she started doing it, it was great. That's what she's doing, what she loved to do. I started Longship, and quickly, thanks to a lot of just the experience in the field, I left where I was at, started this, and we were instantly profitable due to the connections and the client book of business that I already had. And quickly, within a couple of weeks, couple of months, I'm drowning. I'm trying to like figure out who I can wrangle in to do stuff for me. And Sarah's doing insurance, and we actually occupied the same office. It's just a few doors down from here, the new one here. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, I could really use her help. But here's the fun thing is she does not respond well to being told what to do. So I know.
I'm shocked.
There's a few times in my life where I've played my cards correctly.
Yeah.
And I'm drowning and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. And it's almost, and this is where the marriage dynamic where you have two, let's just generalize and say A-type personalities that have connected. It's like you almost get into a competition with each other about who's busier and who's more successful at any given moment.
And whose stuff is more important at that time, right?
Correct. And I'm like, I'm sitting there going like, I need help and I'm going to have to hire somebody and I really don't want to have to hire somebody yet. So I'm going to have to do a contract. And internally, I'm literally praying, please let her have the idea to help me. Please. And then finally one day she's like, you know what? I was thinking, what if
we'd had a huge increase in premiums at MetLife? And I was like, and I was getting all these customers calling and they'd tweaked something and they'd merged with a bunch of other companies. And there's a lot of customer blowback. I was at the point of like, feel like I am spinning my wheels here. This is hard, not hard in a bad, like it had gotten annoying hard and it wasn't fun.
It stopped being profitable at that point as well, where it's like, it's just, you're making a lot of money here, making good enough money here, but the combination of forces can really exponentially increase it. So this was early February of 18. And I was working on something. This is me working. And she said, hey, I was thinking, what if I just sold all this the book of business and just started helping you with Longship? And I'm all, keep working. Don't acknowledge it. Because I know if I overplay my hand at that point, like, what, you think I should quit? No way. I'm like, right. Well, that's a good idea.
And you're like hitting the cash register on
come on. But it's like, it's one of these things where neither one of us respond very well being told what to do, right? Shocker. And this conversation went on for like 2-3 weeks. And then by the end of February, Sarah was out.
I was able to sell my book of business, at least walk away with a bit of profit where I knew we would at least be financially set for 3 months, that I had enough in the bank to walk away and I could pay the bills for 3 months.
I didn't reveal my hand until it was done. And then once it was done, she's all, that's it. I'm all, okay, thank God. Thank you. I have literally been praying for this for 3 months. I'm so happy that you're here. It's odd saying that about your spouse where this is, the most intimate relationship we have, but now it's this combination of home finances become business finances. Home relationship is business relationship. And so you're taking the most complicated relationship in your life and you're doubling it into probably the next most complicated.
I think that's really interesting. I think I'd love to spend time talking about that, because as entrepreneurs and running your businesses and like, especially with your spouse, right? I mean, like you said, Clint, it's like the most intimate relationship. And then you have your business where it's blood, sweat, and tears. And it's like, that's an intimate relationship. So what things have you guys done, or, things that as you guys have been continuing to grow Longship and as working together, like what are some of the things that you guys have done that's, made that working relationship
like to where you, at the end of the day, you still go home and you're loving each other on the other side of the relationship, right? Because sometimes like when couples work together, it's like they never get that break from each other, right? And so sometimes from what I've heard and things like that, is that it's hard for people to separate the business from the personal side, right? So what things that are conversations or things that you guys have done that, to where you feel like that's been, a really important part of your business, and then even your personal life, and maybe just some of the growing pains through that too. I think that would just be, a really good thing for people to listen to and understand.
So what I'll say is that there's a couple rules that have to be hard and fast. Like, these are the rules. The first rule, and we'd established this years before, is you choose your fight times. You can call them couple discussions, planning meetings,
company meetings,
but that's your time to fight. Mm-hmm. And you need to be able to have it out and have that honest conversation. And really, like, that's your time to fight and focus on, and work that out, because great things come out of conflict. You do have to tear down. Every great civilization is built on the other one, the one prior. And so that's your time to tear down the old walls and rebuild the new ones, or restructure them so that they work and they flow better. But we refer to, Friday at noon, that's fight time. And we block out 2 hours for fight time. Like, this is the time to discuss it and go head to head on the things that we need to go head to head on.
Is it hard to compartmentalize that? Like, Friday's your fight time, right? And like, that, okay, do you find yourself having to catch yourself and wait till that time, or even bringing in that emotion and that, the fight or the passion behind your point into like other times, so your daily routine, like, when work hours are over? Is that a challenge, or is it?
It is for me.
Okay.
It's not so much for Sarah. I always tell people I lucked out in that fight-wise, conflict-wise, I married a man.
Yeah.
And I'm much more the classic feminine in that I'm going to think about this shit for like a week. And I'll probably be kind of mopey and bitchy about it. It's a technical term. For a few days. Yeah. And so it's much more me that has to draw the boundaries around it. Whereas once Sarah's done what she's done, that's it. We're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But for me, it's easier to compartmentalize it and say, this is my time. Now, I do not do well with holding it and thinking about it until then. And so that's another thing that we've done. So this would be rule number 2, is we keep a running combined notes between us for different topics that need to be discussed. Hey, I'm feeling X way about this, and this is what I will need to discuss. And sometimes even just putting it on there and knowing that he's at least seen it, it gives it validation to me that, okay, he knows we're going to talk about this. He knows that this is an issue for me. Therefore, we can, have that conversation. But I don't do well with, like, I can't keep a secret. Nobody should ever tell me their confidential state secrets. I can't keep my mouth shut. Like, and it's not even that I'll tell anybody. It's that I will be like, oh, wow. Like, Christmas presents, surprise parties, bull crap. I can't do that. So I don't do well, and I wear my emotions right on my face. So it's pretty obvious when I'm upset about something. And so it just got easier to have this combined running note where I can put this, and he can check mark it when he's seen it. And then I know he's seen it.
And that's,
yeah, go ahead.
And that's kind of one of the crazy things that I've found with this process that we've been doing over the last, who knows how long, is sometimes just the validation of the check is all I need.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I put it down here, we're good, and you've acknowledged it. For me, I don't necessarily need Sarah to agree with me. I just need to be acknowledged in my point of view. Like that's a valid. I see where you're coming from. I disagree. Great. I'm okay with that.
And then you guys can have constructive conversations around that too, because it gives you that timeline to kind of maybe process and think about, okay, this is on Sarah's radar, right? And we're going to talk about that. How do I want to, or what's my stance on that, right? And I think, effective communication in partnerships and in business partnerships and relationships, it's not easy, right? Like it's amazing how often we can miscommunicate. The language is so powerful.
It
right?
is.
And the way and how we communicate and the words that we choose, man, I mean, it's an art in and of itself. And I'm claiming I'm not the best at it, but I think with what you guys are doing is just, the ability to be disciplined though, and have that, you have worked through what works for you guys, right? To put the list together. And then, that you have this time to go through and communicate and hash things out. Right. I mean, I can only see, and it's what probably has allowed you guys to grow as a company too, and to make sure that you guys are all in this. It's not like you're going to agree every time, right? But at least it gives you your voice to go and have a conversation to at least, Clint, what you said, at least your point has been made or heard.
That's right. And it's, I think one of the other things that is to kind of builds on this is I think a lot of people, and let's just keep the marriage conversation paradigm rolling. A lot of people in the relationship try to avoid conflict. Whereas our philosophy as a couple, which is spilled over into every other aspect of our life, is we don't want to avoid conflict, but we want to be better at resolving conflict. So we take conflict as a given. We're going to have a disagreement. We are going to disagree about this. Granted, got it. We're all on board. How do we reconcile it? And getting better at quick reconciliation is really that next thing, that next level for us, at least.
So what have you guys done? I mean, have you hired coaches or just a lot of reading, or because this is like really important stuff to what you just said is like, okay, how do we resolve, like, again, conflict I think is good, right? And I think the problem with a lot of times is that we bottle stuff up because we don't want the conflict, and all of a sudden the roof blows off, right? But if we can share our ideas can you hear me?
I froze.
Sarah, are you there?
I'm back.
I'm back.
Okay. All right. So talking about the top blowing off, right? Because we bottle stuff in because we don't like the conflict. So what I think what you said, Clint, was really impactful, is that it's okay to have the conflict, but more importantly, what steps do we do to resolve the conflict, or what parameters do we put ourselves around in these conversations so we can resolve the conflict? So I guess my question is as you guys have, worked together in building your company and things, what key ingredients have you guys used to kind of take those steps towards being able to resolve those conflicts? Is there one thing that you guys could share, like what's the most effective thing for you guys to do in these type of conversations?
I don't know. I think it would be easier to answer that in a roundabout way, in that I'm a big fan of addition by subtraction, meaning I don't know exactly what it is that I want all the time, but I'm pretty damn clear about what it is I don't want. And what I don't want is conflict in my relationship, meaning I take conflict as a given. I don't want to be mad at my wife.
We don't want animosity.
Right.
And I don't want that in any situation. I think another thing that was pretty paramount for us was, and I would say both Clint and I have gotten a lot better at this, but it's being able to identify and tweak your message based on the other person's love language. We did the classic love languages quiz. We could not be further from each other on that spectrum. Like literally his top two are the ones like I didn't even ever vote for. Like I would never answer that way. I don't ever want to receive the, love in this way or communication in this way. But those are his. And we got really clear again fairly early on about the fact. It was funny. We were actually sitting in marriage counseling, and I was like, he just comes home and sits home and reads, and he does not pay any attention to me. And I think he's mad all the time. He's mad at me. And Clint was like, she comes home and just wants to talk the whole time. And I just need a minute to read and decompress for a second. And we'd been married for what, like at least probably 7 years by that point, 7 to 10, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And we were like, wait a minute.
Well, it took the counselor. Right. So this would be like advice piece. We have a firm belief in outsourcing our fights. Nice. Accounting, they're money and finance for both of us are kind of, I hate sounding like a snowflake. They're trigger conversations for us. We outsource that shit. We have an accountant. We have a bookkeeper. We know we're going to fight about it. They're the bad guy.
They get to be the bad guy. The media.
They're Judas goat. They got it. Cool. It's not my fault. It's not her fault. They said we can't do it. So with that marriage counseling as well, like I highly recommend it. It's like we'd had one baby, and it's between number one and number two, Sarah had a miscarriage. And as a guy, I'm like, all right, well, we'll try again. Turns out that's not the same feeling a woman has with miscarriage. And I don't know, right? And it created a lot of difficulty for us. And so we ended up going to a marriage counselor. And this is where it sounds so obvious now, where he's like, so what you're saying, Clint, is you just need a minute. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And Sarah, what you're saying is you need to be acknowledged and talked to. Yeah. Clint, would it be hard for you when you get home to just say, hey, Sarah, and maybe you just give her a rub on the back and just say hi to her? Yeah. That wouldn't be hard. And like we left that, they were like, was it always that obvious?
Have we been paying money to do this, to get this?
It is. It's so funny because we get in such a pattern in our own way, right? Like we don't realize, I mean, my wife and I mean, she's a broken record, she's like, and the same thing, right? Like the coaching and the counseling that we've done over the years, it's like, John, is it really that hard to give her like 5 minutes of your time when you get home? Because I've been talking to people all day long, right? I mean, I am on conference call, Zoom call, client meetings. Like I start at 8 a.m. and I talk for sometimes 14 hours straight. I get home, I'm done talking.
Yeah.
Right? But for her, she's not. She's had her hands in people's mouths all day and, doing dental surgery and all that other stuff. And she just needs to unload from a different perspective. And so it is really interesting because it's just like when you, and again, I mean, it's like I do really good for a little while and then I screw up and it's like, reminding, okay, this is what we kind of talked about because we get so in our own way, in our own head. And it's like, I think with the communication or just stepping outside, I think people in general aren't asking for the world. It's just little tiny things that make a huge difference.
And I think it's, for me, it's for us, I don't know I'm setting myself up here, but I'm like, I'm not sure when the last time we had one of the no, I'm right conversations.
Yeah.
It's because I'm really not interested in being right. Mm-hmm. And if I'm going to fight something like, well, she needs to like just change. Ultimately, it's like, we're not saying it, but we're saying it. She just needs to change the way that she receives affection so that it's like the way I receive affection, and then we'll be good. And that's not going to happen. And I'm not interested in changing her.
Right.
Right. But subconsciously, we kind of do that. And I think business owners, if you take it back to the business realm, that's where we get stuck as owners and as entrepreneurs. Is like we're so committed to a thing that this thing is right that we're not willing to acknowledge any other data points. Mm-hmm. That maybe it's not the right direction, mm-hmm. or the right message, or the right hire, or the right product. And that you're so committed to being right that you're going to try and smash a square peg into a round hole, and you just disenfranchise everyone around you. It just doesn't seem worth it to me.
Yeah. Sarah, you were going to say something to that, I think.
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes it's like we've gotten every consultant will tell you this is the right thing to do. This is the right thing for your business, the right move for you. And I think what we've found is that, especially in consulting, mm-hmm. business owners, it's not that there is a right and a wrong. I mean, you shouldn't spell things the wrong way, but again, like, yes, there's some things that are right, but not everything. And I think as owners, we need to trust our gut and be willing to take the risk to trust our gut, or at least to test our gut on things to determine whether or not it's a good idea or a valid point. And I think we're willing to do that in a lot of other areas of our life, but in business, that can sometimes get hard.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead.
No, so when you guys, like, in your business, right, and the things that you guys are doing, is there more of a personality to where one is like, I call it leaving the station train. Like for me, it's like I get an idea in my head, I want to just go. Like I don't even want to think about it. I just want to do it. And damn to be hell, if it works or not, I'm going to figure it out, right? And then I wish there was times like to where I had somebody to say, dude, you need to pull back. And before you like just go off the tracks or get going, like we need to evaluate this a little bit, right? Because I'm such a visionary and I'm just like, dude, that's it. We're going to go, right? And whatever happens. And so in your guys' working relationship, is there somebody that's more of the driver or the just, we're going this way, and then someone pull back and say, yeah, maybe we should look at it from this perspective? Or are you guys both just,
Wait, hold on. I'm going to private chat you what my answer is, and then I want Sarah to do the same.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna play this game.
Awesome.
Okay, so
hang on, wait till he's done, Sarah. Okay.
I'm done. All right. So, and then
hold on.
I don't want to influence anything she says.
Okay.
It's funny. We've recently had this discussion, so if he gets this wrong, it's going to be funny.
I've recently had a lot of discussions, so.
There we go.
Okay. So you want your answers read to you?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Okay. So Clint, you said, I think it alternates back and forth between us. Okay. Sarah, you said Clint pulls back and is better at incremental improvements.
Yeah.
And I steamroll.
Yeah. I'm all in on when we've come up with an idea, I am all in. Like, great, let's do it. And I'll go nuts until that thing is accomplished, and I'll steamroll over it and probably get a lot wrong in the meantime, but something got accomplished. And Clint is far better at looking at something from a big picture, pulling back from it, and then making much smaller. Like if I was a smoker and I decided to quit, I'd quit tomorrow and I'd never pick up another cigarette. Like there would be no question. Whereas Clint, would probably be the person who would wear the nicotine patch or make small improvements here and there.
So that's interesting because so Clint, you said you guys it kind of like it alternates back and forth, but do you think it's more of it depends on what that is in relation to what your guys' skill set is inside the business?
I think that could be it. I think for me, it's more from my perspective, it's the conversational point of it is we're going to have we'll alternate back and forth and being the in the driver's seat conversationally, where she's going to be highly motivated on this subject matter, and I try not to get in her way. Conversely, if I'm doing the same, she doesn't get in my way around it. Like we can, the energy is adaptable in that regard. To Sarah's point of view, you may be wondering, she keeps moving her head. There's a few mountain bike frames over there. And so previous to this, I made lots of bad life choices and I raced mountain bikes professionally for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And I did, but it's cross-country mountain bikes, not the downhill crazy stuff. And so people are like, do you do any tricks? I'm like, I ride my bike fast. Like, that's a trick.
It was a trick. It was really a trick. Good. It was really impressive.
Really boring to watch. And I really, the longer a race went, the better I felt. I like having my last lap be my fastest lap and incrementally building. Whereas Sarah is that she's going to sprint, she's going to have an idea and she's going to go and it's getting done today. Whereas I'm more comfortable in playing a long game, like she said, incrementally improving what we're doing. Big shifts scare me. And just going off of the business world here, I always get scared when somebody's all, I'm going to burn everything down and I'm going to start over. I'm like, yeah, don't do that. No, don't. No, abort. Like, I'm just going to delete all these campaigns and we're going to start over. I'm like, don't do it. No, bad. And so those big shifts kind of freak me out more, whereas an incremental just feels better.
But I think like in what you guys do with clients, I think it's a really good balance, right? Because I mean, think about it, there's somebody like I should just like tear down everything out, and Sarah might be the one like maybe we should do that, and you're kind of pulling back and saying, well, maybe we can reevaluate this. But I think it's really good to where you come from two different perspectives, right, to support the business, and having that give and take and allows you to help the business owner probably at a more sophisticated level, because it's not just you're just have the same mindset, right? And I think that's huge.
And that's the thing. It's like there is no right or wrong on that from a business perspective. Well, what's the right move? Tear it all down or start from scratch? I don't know. And so many people are in the consulting space. It becomes almost a taboo to say, I don't know. But it's one of my favorite things. Saying I don't know is one of the most freeing things a person can say. Because the minute I say, if a client comes and says, hey, well, what email subject line is going to get the best open rates? Don't know. Right. We can run off of our gut and create some good ideas, but let's let the data tell us what it is.
And to that point, when you are speaking at the mastermind in Tampa, right? Remember the emails that you showed?
Yeah.
And you were set on one was going to have the biggest open rate or the impact, right? And the business owner that you were working with thought this one would have the biggest open rate. And again, to your point, it's data, right? Because the marketing world and all the funnels and doing all these automation things, like, it's data. Like, what I'm learning is that it's so much about data gathering, not so much about getting it right.
That's right.
And until you test and automate and test and change, then you'll find what's working. And so I think, and it's like, people could say, well, geez, what do you mean you don't know? Because I'm hiring you as a consultant, but really you're allowing the customer to data test it so you will become right. Because right?
And that's exactly it. I want to fail faster.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times what our clients will do, or what we'll notice consultants or just anybody do, is they're totally committed to this one path. This is the thing, this is the message, this is the product. And they're so committed to it that by the time they actually launch it and the data comes back and they find out it doesn't work, it isn't what the market wanted, we're 2 years deep into this thing. And it just becomes discouraging. So then they're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that again. This experience is really big learning for me. I had a client come out and they did, probably like at the time, like a $12,000 investment into all of these funnels and the campaign. They were going to go on this, taking their business in this new direction. Okay. And I can't even remember the particulars of it anymore. We did all this stuff. We launched it. And then I didn't hear from them again for like a year. And then I ran into him at Traffic and Conversion, Digital Marketers' big yearly conference. Like, hey guys, how'd it go? How'd the launch go? And they're like, it was awful. I'm like my heart sunk. I'm all, shit, what'd you do? Well, how'd you screw it up? And I'm all, oh no, what happened? And he's like, well, we sent it out there and yeah, nobody wanted it. Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that. And they go, no, that was the best thing that could have happened. We made a $15,000, $20,000 investment when all was said and done to find out nobody wanted it. And we were about to just totally shift everything in the business to go after it. And so
in the long run, I mean, think about the capital, the opportunity cost on that to go all in without, I mean, it's painful to spend any type of capital infusion for an unknown, right? But that data and that information is so critical to where
and that's it. And this is where what we want to help our clients do with Longship is, yes, I don't know what is going to work, but I can tell you we can get more versions of it out so that we will know what works faster. So I want to fail faster so that we can get to that one gold nugget that does work. And so, that's where we specialize in, is because the entrepreneur is so caught up in everything else that they have going on, that they by nature are going to try and force this one idea they have come hell or high water. And by the time they get it out, they're just discouraged by it, or the moment has passed. Where we want our clients to be able to have an idea and launch that idea quickly.
Right.
And so we just take that technology side of it out of their hands so that they can focus on that.
And you mentioned something too. It's like, even from an entrepreneur mindset, right? Like, failure is the key ingredient, I believe, is the more you fail, the quicker you're going to get to that success or greatness. So your point of, our goal is really to fail faster for the client so we can get the result, right? It's kind of like a mindset shift, really, right? Because it's kind of like one of those things. It's like, man, I don't want to just continue to fail, but if you don't have that, right, you're not going to find the secret to the code or the secret ingredient, but it's in allowing someone else like you guys to do that faster. Because think about it, in my world and just the things that I'm learning about this space, is it takes me forever to try to dig in, right? And then I'm going to be wrong. And then time's passed, right? I didn't feel enough times quick enough to where maybe I found the right combination.
That's right. That's right.
And there's something to be said for riding the wave of either good decisions or bad decisions. And a lot of times people are so discouraged by their failure that it makes it really difficult to ride or find any kind of success wave, because you're so down in the dumps on that you just can't see the other opportunities that are there. Whereas when you're able to fail fast and go real quick, it also makes it really easy to find the success waves that are around and to ride them.
It's part of our family heritage, my family heritage, predominantly, and this is where we can talk about North Dakota, predominantly is Norwegian. But then there's also a good bit of Scottish mixed in there. And the particular family, the clan that our family came from was the Ross clan. And the clan motto was "Success nourishes hope." And as a consultant, super strong.
Yeah.
I want to get my clients to success, because it's like, to what Sarah was saying, it's, you get that punch in the gut once and you're just like, fuck, dude, this isn't even how I make money. Screw it. I'll keep doing what I'm doing. Whereas if I can get them to a little win fast, now I'm a little bit more hopeful. Now there's a light at the end of the tunnel on this thing. And so getting our clients to success faster is key as well.
So for the listeners out there, I'm from North Dakota. You guys are living in Arizona, but Clint, when I first met you, you kind of shared a little story about some heritage way up north in North Dakota. You want to share that with the listeners?
Oh yeah, this is my go-to
with your audience and your group, right? They may not know this, but you have some connections to North Dakota, man. I love
That's
it.
That's right. Whenever I meet one of the 20 of you that live up there, I always play this.
It's up to 25 now.
All right. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
That's right. My parents moved there.
That's right. My family. So my dad was from both parents' side. My mom was up in northeast North Dakota by Minnesota, and my dad was down in southwest North Dakota. And the Crow side of the family, they're the Crows. These are the same Scotch folks. My great-grandmother was the first female graduate from Dickinson State Teacher College back in the day. And so that's kind of my claim. I'm like, oh yeah, we're a big deal in North Dakota. Let me tell you.
Right. And that's so crazy. It kind of brings back how small the world is. I mean, you and I meet for the first time, right? We're at Tampa and you're telling me about, your grandmother in the North Dakota story. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. It's crazy.
Well, here's what's even another crazy one. I forget the guy's name. He's part of a different group we're in called Board of Advisors. And Matt is, through Family Mastermind, is connected to them. Another North Dakotan, he lives in California now. Him and I were talking, and again, this is my North Dakota rap of, oh yeah. He goes, oh yeah, what part of town or what part of the state is your dad from? And I said, Mobridge. Well, my parents actually met when they were both teachers in a school, as K through 12 school, and I can't remember the name of the town. And I said, oh, they taught here. And he goes, that's where I graduated from. So he had actually gone to the high school my parents had taught at and met in the 50s. And my parents are they're in their 80s now. And so it was a small world.
Crazy.
Real small world.
Well, so listen, I really appreciate you guys being on this. It's funny how this conversation went, right? To where we're talking about some real stuff though, right? Like the challenges that we face, especially with you guys being in a unique situation where, you're not only married, but you're bringing in the business world into how to successfully grow and function your business. So I thank you a lot for taking the time and just, sharing your guys' insight and your wisdom and things to look out for and just things to do. This conversation was great, but for those that want to reach out to you guys and how people can get in contact with you in regards to Longship Systems and the automation system and just really helping business owners be more productive in the things that they're probably not skilled to do, right? How can they reach you and how can we provide contact information for them as well?
So probably the best way is just our email, Clint or Sarah at longshipsystems.com. We're currently redoing our website. I'm sure it'll be up here eventually. The current version is a bit old and dated, but we're busily getting it updated. But after that.
Well, and we do a weekly masterclass where we talk just strategies that are working right now. It really is meant to be a conversation style. And that's at longshipsystems.com/get registered. And you can go on and check it out and see what we're featuring on that week's conversation. And you can register and join the conversation. This week tomorrow we'll be talking about, we'll be doing story brand. So
is that every Wednesday, or is it changed the day?
Nope, it's every Wednesday.
Okay. And are they pre-recorded, recorded? So if someone misses this episode, they can get back, or is it just you got to be on and you got to be live and take advantage?
We end up sending out the recording, but we do everything live. We're very much we like people coming up with questions. We're much better improv jazz players than we are recording studio.
Right.
Kind of folks.
It's more real and authentic too, and you guys just get to share on the site, on the deal, like real stuff, right?
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, well, you guys, I really appreciate you being on here. Thanks a lot for sharing all the information, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you guys better. You guys got to, Clint. I was talking to Sarah, and I mentioned about coming up to North Dakota. You guys got to come up here sometime and hang out, and you should probably come up in the wintertime so you get out of that Arizona heat, right?
Oh, yeah.
I've actually told people you've made the most convincing argument to date as to why I should come up there.
Well, what did I say?
I said, you come up and go hunting. And I was all, oh, yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. I totally need to do that.
Yeah. We both talked to him. He was like, look, we could go hunting up there.
Yeah.
We could go see my parents. And he's like, why would we do that?
I love her parents. Let's
go see John. Right. I'm like, okay.
Well,
that actually does sound funner.
Come on up. Love to have you guys come out. It'd be a lot of fun, right? And I'm going to invite myself down to Arizona. I think it's
absolutely.
What's really going to happen, right?
Well, it's it's just so scary cold today because it was 62 degrees. I put on a jacket.
Sir, it was 23 today.
That sucks.
Right.
For you.
And I walked outside with a short sleeve shirt, and I'm like, it's kind of cold. Maybe I'll go get a jacket.
Is that Celsius?
Is that Celsius?
No, that's Fahrenheit.
No.
Your thermostat doesn't even go that low, right?
No, never.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for being on. And man, I'm grateful to get to know you guys and appreciate all your wisdom. So thanks again.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
All right, everybody, check them out. Longship Systems, and reach out, and man, they're gonna change your world.